What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Today's episode, we're going to do a 30-day review of the Deviant Guitar Grimoire. We'll talk about some fit and finish, build quality, and just kind of give an overview on what I think for the last 30 days. You know, I've had it. I've played it a crap ton. I have dropped it twice. And I'll give you a cool little story, which Roy, I wasn't going to tell. To be fair, I was not going to tell anybody about it. Roy sent me the video. He texted it to me one night. He's already posted it on his Instagram. But he made a human sacrifice when he built this guitar. Literally. If you go back and look at his Instagram, you'll see it. So we'll talk about it too. On the heart here, we'll start there. The heart of the guitar on the fretboard. Let's see if I can get it zoomed in. You can kind of see it's got a different kind of color to it. It's kind of shiny compared to the rest of it. And that's because during the build, after it was done, it actually cracked. The epoxy or whatever the material is, you know, he had cracked it and he didn't know what to do. So Royce reached out and he was like, look, man, how do you want to fix this? Personally, I gave him a couple options. I said, you can either fill it with clear. You can fill it with black, you know, whatever, kind of add to like a broken heart. I said you can cut it out and do it over, or you can just leave it and do whatever. Personally, I didn't care either way what he chose. I wanted to see how he was going to handle it. So I told him, word for word, I said, surprise me. You pick, and that's what we're going with. And so he said, okay, fine, fuck it. I'm just going to cut it out and I'm going to do it over. He said, I don't want to leave you with something that you're not going to be happy with. So I can respect that, and I really appreciate the fact that he reached out to me after the fact when it was already done. I mean, the frets were already on the board. I might still have the pictures. If I do, I'll throw them up. So, you know, like I said, I wasn't going to tell this, but so when he did it, he fixed it. He sent me the final images of it being fixed. I'm like, cool, man, you know, it's awesome. And I get the guitar, and then he texts me a video where when he was filling it, he cuts his finger, he puts the blood in. So I've got a human sacrifice, and that maybe will make me a better guitar player. Probably not. Anyways, it's just a cool story. Who gives a shit? It's whatever. So let's go with the pickups. That's the big elephant in the room. First and foremost, I don't fault this on Royce any at all. I should not have listened to other people when I picked those. So in the initial build, when we first started designing it, I wanted that weathered and worn look that, you know, pirate ships typically have, or old ships. Obviously the oceans are unforgiving and don't care. So I wanted that worn, and the Willie Adler set definitely fits that. I mean, it looks beautiful on the build, but they don't sound good for me. It's not anything against Fishman. It's just they're not for me. Sean is actually one of the few people who told me that. And he's like, look, you're going to like them. They're going to look cool, but you're not going to like playing them. You know, you're not that kind of a player that those are geared towards. And he's right. And I should have listened to the few people and myself who were against it. So just, you know, when you're paying for something, buy what you want so that you're happy. I'm absolutely happy with the guitar, first and foremost. Don't doubt that. Pickups you can change. It's not a big deal. Let's talk about the bridge. Now, we went with a Schaller. It's a Haynes 6 or the Haynes Inline 6. It's got graphite saddles. It's intonated very nicely. I did adjust some of the intonation for how I play and the tuning I'd stay in. But the string through design comes through the back, and the strings don't go through the fucking saddle. They go through, but they're a real pain in the ass. You got to finagle them and kind of move the saddles around. And it's more work that I think doesn't need to happen. I don't know if that's the bridge design. Based on the way it looks, I'm going to say it is. Just because of how they sit there. But otherwise, it's fine. You know, I like Tune-o-matics a lot. They're comfortable to me. I do top wrap most of mine, so I like that feel that the top wrap has. And this kind of has that same angle when you're playing, so I don't have any other complaints with the bridge there. The wood itself is great. It's got a nice weight to it. I do like a little heavier guitar. 8 to 9 pounds is kind of the range. 8.5, 9. And so when we were picking the wood, I knew I wanted a mahogany back. I love mahogany. It's got great grain pattern to it. And I wanted the wood to speak for itself, so that was another reason I chose the open pore satin finish. The wood, to me, should always speak for itself. And Royce actually picked the top. I told him I wanted that whole weathered, pirated, distressed look. And, he was like, look, why don't we look at bog oak? I think it'll fit the bill. And so I didn't know what it was at the time. I started looking it up, and I'm like, you know what, man? Yeah, it looks cool. Let's go with it. And I'm super glad he chose that because it is absolutely gorgeous. It is by far my favorite top out of all the guitars I own. I can't stop looking at it. Like, it really is a showpiece guitar, man. It's beautiful. It's so well done. The fretboard is ebony, and it meets the neck beautifully. He sanded it all nice. I do have a Gibson that has some issues with the fretboard. You can feel it where it wasn't sanded very nice, but this one was done beautifully. So the profile is very comfortable. You can get a good wrap, all the way around. It's kind of like a cross between a Pattern Thin from PRS and a Wizard 2 from Ibanez. At least to me, that's kind of the feel it has. So for me, it's fine. It fits perfect. Hip shot locking tuners. And the reason I chose the industrial tips or the keys is it kind of reminds me of, on the old 3-mast ships, the rigging for the sails would get wrapped around the pegs, and that's kind of what it looks like. So it is what it is. Let's talk about some of the cons, right? So the bridge and the pickups, or the saddles with the string through and the pickups. Let's talk about the headstock, right? So there's a lot of noise that gets generated up here, and I just took some neoprene foam and put on there. I have a huge roll of it, and you can see I just cut it off in pieces. I think I paid $4 on Amazon. I got it back here on all the racks, so none of the guitars get banged up, and it's it's nice, it's quiet, and it fits. It really quietened it down quite a bit. I am missing that high E string from all that sick shredding that I do so well. Anyways, so let's talk about some of the fit and finish, right? So it's a custom shop guitar. You pay good money for stuff and you expect a certain level of things. And so this is where a lot of people don't talk about. Let's talk about the frets themselves. So they're 24 stainless jumbo frets. They are very smooth. There's only a couple of places I noticed down here where it could have been done just a little better. Nothing major. I don't do a lot of that stuff, so for me it's not a big deal. But from here all the way to right here is where I feel the first one. Some of the edges could be done a little bit better, but time is money. And that brings me to the edge of the fretboard. It's a little too square for my taste. I do like a more rolled fretboard. So maybe I will do a DIY on how I roll my fretboards. They feel a little smoother when they're rolled. So we'll do that. We'll talk about those. But back to the time is money. Let's talk about some tool marks. Right here, and I'll put pictures up, there is some extra filing where either the file slipped, I don't really know. It's not going to show up on the picture or on the camera, but in the picture you should see it. And it's right there at the edge of the pocket. It's right here at the corner of the fretboard. It's just a small little bit. Time is money. So maybe he got rushed. Maybe something came up. He dropped something. Who knows? That goes up to right about here where the nut sits. You can see some tool marks up there. Now, I'm not really complaining by this stuff, right? I don't expect it to be pristine, but this is where the QC department of companies come in. So it should just be noted at least. I'm not going to fault them. I don't really care, but I want you guys to know about it. The next one we'll talk about is here at the top of the headstock, and you can see the two, maybe. You can see those dark lines. I think what happened is when the CNC came over to cut it out, The wood splintered, so there is a little bit there. You can kind of see it's not perfectly square right there either. You can kind of see it kind of comes up. Maybe it got dropped or sanded, or I don't know. Anyways, you know, it's just little stuff. It doesn't affect the playability. It does not affect the quality. The only other big spot is right here. This one is probably the biggest of them all that I'm concerned with as far as fit and finish goes. All right, so let's look at where the set neck sits. This pocket, everything from here down, all this, super tight. Super, super tight. It's very nice. It's all filled. It's very clean. And then you roll it around to that spot there. You might be able to see it. Maybe. We'll do some pictures. And I just think it could have been smoothed out a little bit. Sanded a little better. There's a slight gap right there. I'm not too concerned with it. Matter of fact, nothing I'm pointing out here is going to affect it when you're playing it. You can't see it in any photos unless you're looking for it. The only big concern is right here. If this guitar falls and hits that point, I mean, that shit's going to break off. And it's just because of how thin it is and the point, you know, it is what it is. It's a design flaw. I don't expect to drop it. I have dropped it twice, but I don't expect to drop it, so I'm not too concerned with it. But it's a very comfortable playing guitar for the way I play and how I feel. Am I satisfied with this build? Absolutely. Without a doubt, I will definitely buy another guitar. Well, I'll buy a third guitar, I should say. I've already bought one. I bought a Reaper from the Reaper production run. So when I get it, I am going to compare the Reaper production run to this guitar. And we'll go over those fit and finishes as well. Are these little nuances going to affect how I feel about it? No, they're not. It might affect you. Some people don't talk about the little things like that, but the QC, the fit and finish, you know, people rag on Gibson for it all day long. Gibson's been around a lot longer. They shouldn't have those issues. Royce has been doing this for about a year, I think. You know, so this could be that inexperience level kicking in. Does it need to be done a little better? Sure. But other than that, we got a badass guitar. Got a fucking badass guitar. And I am absolutely happy with this build. I can't thank Royce enough. So once we get the Reaper in, we'll do a side-by-side between the Reaper and this custom shop. Don't really have much more to say about it. But we'll find some new pickups. We'll put those in. We'll do some shootouts. We'll see if it changes the tone of the guitar compared to the actives, and I'm sure it will. A lot, actually. But anyways, thanks for checking it out, you guys. Go check out Royce. Go see what he's doing. I don't remember how many of the Reapers he's got left on the build. I'm pretty sure the promo is over for that. Tell me what you guys think. If you have any questions or comments you want to bring up, let me know. If you want to see some close-up pictures, I'll be glad to take them. So anyways, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.